and John Larroquette of Night Court. Guys, thanks for stopping by. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Fantastic. John, how does it feel that there's a new version of Night Court? What are your thoughts on this? And especially people who have not got the chance to tune in yet.
Well, if you were a fan of the original, I think that you'll find the harmonic of this one exactly the same. It is built around funny, and every week we try to be funny. And with the new cast of characters who come into the courtroom and the crazy people that leave the streets of New York to come play with us, it's the same template that has been since 1984 when we first began, and it's full of jokes and hopefully good times for people at home.
Well, I was such a huge fan, and I was also the late fan of the person who played Bull. I mean, in Night Court. So I'm 6'10", John. So I remember,
Wow.
yeah. So that's what made me really tune into the show at that time period. I'm 51, by the way. Melissa, it had to be an unbelievable honor to be chosen to be the judge in Night Court, right?
It is. It's such an honor. And it was actually a show that John and I and our showrunner, Dan Rubin, we all developed together. And originally I was just going to come on board as a producer. But then in developing the show with John, and knowing that I was going to be sitting behind the camera watching someone get to play with John in this role, I thought, what a dummy would I be if I don't jump in to play this role? So that's sort of how it came to be.
Now, John, how has your character changed years later to update people of what's happened?
Well, I mean, back in the day, he didn't wear Depends, and he is 35 years older. So, how do you change in 35 years? I mean, you said you watched it as a boy. I mean, how have you changed in the 30 years since it was on? You change. And the trick in a comedy then is to take a character like Dan Fielding to figure out why is he funny 35 years later. And I think we've discovered that. I think there's tastes of him from the back in the day, but there's a whole new world, and he has to relate to it and participate in it. And luckily, he has Harry Stone's daughter in the form of Abby Stone to sort of help him guide himself back into the world a bit.
So, Melissa, you talked about specifically enough how you were involved in coming up with this idea for a new version of Night Court. So, were you a huge fan at all of the show?
I was.
Mhm.
I absolutely was. I loved watching the first incarnation. I loved watching John. So it's a true dream come true to get to do this show on a daily basis and to work with John and to be on these sets. I loved everything about the original and the cranked up left to center comedy, and then of course the just the workplace family at the heart of it, and that's really the DNA that we've borrowed for this incarnation of the show.
So, what's the difference between the two judges, John, in your opinion, that you talking about working with them and how you changed? How is Emma Stone different than Harry Stone?
Well, Abby Stone
Abby
is different
Stone.
from Harry, and then I think that you know Abby at the center is the real compass of this show. And Harry was as well, but in a more quirky way. I think Abby is more down to earth a bit in the ways that she treats people. She always wants to try and help people. Harry did as well. There's a lot of parallels. Obviously they're different because they're different people, but there's enough similarities to where people who love the original will tune into this and find a harmonic of the original, if not a duplication for sure.
I think so for sure. And it's a definite honor to have you guys both on. And you guys can tune into Night Court, available on Peacock and streaming live. Always check out Night Court Tuesday nights, 8:30 p.m., beginning on November 19th. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks again for stopping by, and best of luck with everything.
Take
Thank
care.
you so
Same
much.
to you.
Thank
Same to
you.
You're welcome. You're
Adios.
listening and watching The Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.